Alrighty, good morning, everybody. So, I don't know about you guys, but obviously I didn't expect this little curveball that we got. So, surprise, surprise. Not that we didn't know that it was a possibility to go back virtual at any point in time. Obviously, I was hoping it wouldn't happen quite as soon. We made it, what, 2 weeks of in person, and then we had to circle back around. So, anyway, it is what it is. Okay, now listen, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen all of you in person, so let's show videos. Okay, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. We're 13 weeks into the semester. You can throw videos on, gentlemen. Come on, you can do it. Okay, so we need to discuss a few things that are coming up. So for the most part, I have like 95% of your stuff in PowerSchool for what's going on second 6 weeks report card, which is supposed to be mailed out to everybody sometime later this week. That's what I was told. So I've got to finalize just a few things here and there, and then for the most part, grades are done for second 6 weeks. So keep in mind that what we're doing right now with World War II is going on the third and final 6 weeks. And I will let you know as soon as I find out 100%, you know, what's going down with, hold on, we got one more. But I will let you know as soon as I know 100% what's going down with final exams. But theoretically, the week of, hold on, let me pull up my calendar. I can tell you exactly. December, we only have 2 weeks because that third week is the 14th. That's it. The week of December 14th is going to be EOCs and final exam week. So we really only have 5 weeks left of the semester, and amongst those 5 weeks, we already know 2 of them are virtual, and then you get next Wednesday off, so there's a bonus. Next Wednesday you're off for Veterans Day, and then of course we have Thanksgiving that is approaching. So the good news is in our last really 5 weeks together that you do have some breaks in between, so there's some silver lining, right? There's some good news. Okay, so this week we are wrapping up World War II. Okay, last week we introed into it. This week we are looking specifically at the fighting. We're looking at the war in Europe, and we're looking at the war in the Pacific. So we're going a little bit more detailed, and kind of essentially what we're doing is we're looking at how the U.S. handles things after the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. Okay, that's kind of where we jump off today. And that's why your unit packet is kind of little hit and miss, just because we're limited on time and we've got to finish World War II this week so that we can get into the Cold War and everything else that we have left. Like I said, after this week, only 4 more weeks of information. So it's craziness. It's crazy. Okay. Alrighty, so here's what we're doing today. We're not, unless you have any specific questions about IDs, we're not going to look at IDs just because the only thing you have is just doing definitions. There's no section questions. It is just defining, let's say, it's 30, but I've given you a couple of days, like I would do first 15 today, last 15 tomorrow, or you can go ahead and knock it out. That's kind of up to you, but that's what we've got with the IDs. But we are going to look at a page in your packet. We're going to talk about your World War II project, which I've specifically broken it up so that you can pace yourself, because I know you guys enough to know that some of you will pace yourselves and then some of you will wait till the last minute. I don't want anybody waiting till the last minute to try and do all 3 parts, because that's like a suicide mission. Don't do that. So we're going to start with part 1. You work on it today. It's due tomorrow, but it only takes a little bit of time to do it anyway. Okay, so I tell you what, let's actually talk about the project really quick before we get to your packet, because I want to make sure everybody understands what you're supposed to be doing. All right, so Your World War II project is called a learning menu, if you will, to where it's broken up. You've got your appetizer, your main course, and your dessert. So due tomorrow is your appetizer, okay? Understand me on this. You have to pick 2. There's 3 options total, and you pick 2, okay? Now, it can be 2 of the same kind. So let's say that you want to do 2 propaganda posters, okay? Open up a Google Doc. Now, you can do it digitally, or you can actually draw something. If you're artistic, and high five to you, I'm not, but if you're artistic and you want to draw your propaganda poster, then there you go. Draw it, take a picture, scan it in, whatever, okay? Let me give you an example, all right? Let's say that you want to do an Uncle Sam Wants You poster, an enlistment poster, right? So you say, Uncle Sam wants you, and then put you a picture, and then put join the U.S. military at the bottom, okay? That's what a propaganda poster is. It's calling people to action. You want them to do something, okay? Let's say I choose to do 2 propaganda posters, and my second propaganda poster is me encouraging people to buy war bonds to help support the war, okay? And so I put, everyone can help. Draw me a picture. I don't know, little kids handing out flyers or whatever, children represent innocence and the future, and like an American flag or something in the background, be patriotic. And at the bottom, put buy war bonds. There you go, okay? Short, simple, and to the point, okay? Tell people what it is that you want them to do, and of course, do a picture that encourages them to participate, all right? So you can do propaganda poster, you can do a timeline. It does tell you when you do the timeline. And again, make this look professional, do it on a Google Doc. And you can go, it doesn't really matter whether you go vertical or horizontal, it doesn't matter, but list it out. It does tell you on the timeline to make sure that you go in chronological order, starting, if you want to, you can start 1941 with the U.S. being attacked at Pearl Harbor and then go from there. But you must, you must include 15 dates. Now, if you reference your note packet, if you reference your Google Docs, they will give you all 15 dates, okay? You really don't have to go hunting for them unless you want to, all right? That's kind of up to you. And then your last one is postcards. And again, you can choose to do 2 postcards, and it actually gives you multiple topics. So if you want to do 2 postcards, you pick 2 different topics. So one might be you discovering a concentration camp. All right, write home to somebody about that. And if you wanted to, because we're virtual and we got to kind of tweak it to make it work for us, you could do more like a letter versus a postcard. So open up a Google Doc and write to Uncle Sam or Uncle John and tell them about your experience. So one of them is if you tried to enlist in the military, but you couldn't because you were declared what they call a 4F. Maybe you've got bad hearing, maybe you've got bad eyesight, maybe you've got a bad knee, for whatever reason you couldn't do it. Write a letter to your friend about what you're going to do to help with the war effort. You're going to work in a factory, you're going to buy war bonds, you're going to conserve, whatever, okay? And then your main course is Thursday, which is doing an 8-slide PowerPoint, and only 6 out of that 8 actually have to have pictures and information, okay? One's your title slide, one's your bibliography or works cited, the other 6 have got your information. And then due next Monday is your reflection or dessert, okay? Has anybody got any questions about the project? I just want to make sure everybody understood.
I don't know about the project, but I think the vocab for 21 is 20 right now.
Hold on, say that again.
I'm pretty sure the IDs for chapter 21 is from chapter 20.
I know it's listed as chapter 20. I'll go in and double check. I realized that when I posted it that it was titled chapter 20, and I don't think that I ever went back and fixed it, but I'll go back in and just confirm and make sure that it's It's the right vocab, but it should say chapter 21 on the actual doc itself. I'll pull it up.
Did you say
Hold
there
on.
were 30 questions? Because there's 25 on this document.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I thought it was just mislabeled. Okay. It is. It is the wrong one. All right. Sorry about that. I'll fix it right now. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I don't know, for some reason I thought that I had put the right one on there, but apparently not. Okay. All righty. Let me scrap it. I hope nobody did it because now I get to redo it. All right. Okay, so while I'm fixing that and putting in the correct IDs for 21, and again, my apologies on that one. Hopefully nobody in here started it, so you don't have to like do some double duty. Okay, all right. Oh, and FYI, if you are in honors, I put up honors project 4. And if you haven't had time to look at it and check it, make sure that you do that sometime today or tomorrow. Like, don't wait too long to check it out and make sure you don't have any questions. There's a lot that goes to it, so you need to kind of make sure that you are staying on that. Okay, all right, so like I said, I'm fixing my mistake I made. All right, we're going to the packet. Without further ado, we are going to do a mini lesson as we run through this, and we're going to look at, again, your packet jumps around. We're going to look at 21-2 today and kind of go on from there. You'll notice that there's no section 1, there's no section 3. We kind of bounce around just a little bit. But that's where we're going to start today is 21-2, which is fill in the blank. And I'll kind of use my time as we go over it to squeeze in kind of a mini lesson of the war in Europe. Okay. All righty. If you've got it, let's go ahead and jump into it. If I go too fast, let me know, and I'll make sure that I go back. Sorry, I was trying to multitask and make sure I got your IDs fixed. I can't believe I did that. I was really tired this morning and I was trying to make sure I had everything up and going. So my apologies. All right, here we go. All right, it says main idea that, whoops, there we go. A few hours after they bombed Pearl Harbor, the Japanese attacked American airfields in the Philippines. So that's what goes in your blank, the Philippines. Remember, during this time, the Philippines are still a territory of the United States. After World War II, we're going to give them their independence. But the Philippines goes in blank 1. Okay, all right. Number 2 says, when American forces defending the Bataan Peninsula surrendered in April of 1942, hold on, let me find my number. 78,000. That's your number. That goes in the blank. 78,000. Nearly 78,000 of them were forced to march to a Japanese prison camp. All right, let me ask you this. Let me know what your vocab for war-related terms is. What is a POW? Or who knows? Who knows what a POW is?
A prisoner of war.
Yes, prisoner of war. Okay. So if you're a war buff, you probably know this already, but during World War II, the Japanese were notorious for their harsh, awful, terrible treatment of American POWs. According to the Geneva Accords, they're supposed to be allowed to write home through the Red Cross, deliver letters to family. They're supposed to get meals and water. You know, they're supposed to be taken care of, but the Japanese did a lot of not just physical, but mental torture on our poor guys. And again, if you have time during quarantine and you like movies, Unbroken is a phenomenal movie. The book's better if you like reading. The book is way better. But Unbroken is a story of Louis Zamperini, who actually was a marathon runner during the 1936 Olympics that were in Berlin, Germany. But anyway, his plane goes down in the Pacific and he ends up becoming a Japanese POW. And the fact that he lives to tell the tale is amazing. The torture that he experienced, all of his friends that he watched die. I mean, it is insane. It's heartbreaking, but the guy lived to tell about it. So that movie is awesome. Check that out. Let's see. Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to get off talking about that. All right. Let's see. Number three. Number 3 is talking about the Doolittle raid, which was our revenge mission after Pearl Harbor. Again, if you've ever seen the movie Pearl Harbor, you need to check it out. It does show the Doolittle raid at the very end of it. Okay. Number 3 says, after the Doolittle raid, the Japanese decided the American fleet had to be destroyed to protect Tokyo. That's your answer. Tokyo. T-O-K-Y-O. T-O-K-Y-O. Tokyo. Why? What's the importance of Tokyo? What is it? What do we know about Tokyo to Japan?
It's their capital.
That is their capital. Yeah, absolutely. So obviously Japan wants to do whatever they can to make sure that they prevent their capital city from being bombed. Okay. Let's see, where are we at? Number 4, despite their losses at the Battle of the Coral Sea, American forces prevented the Japanese from cutting supply lines. Hold on. I lost my place. Hold on one second. I don't have mine in order. I messed myself up. Oh well. Okay, hold on. Supply lines to... Okay. All right. Never mind. I can't find my place on my sheet. All right. I'll tell you what. Sorry. We'll come back to that one. I don't know how I messed myself up so bad, but I did. I lost my place on that one. Okay. Sorry. Let's come back to 4. I'll figure it out here in just a second. All right. Go to 5. 5 says, unaware that they were heading into an ambush, the Japanese launched their aircraft against the Marines, American Marines, against the Marines on June 4th of 1942. Marines. Because if again, if you don't know your American history, that's referring to the Battle at Okinawa, which it was a major turning point in favor of the United States, but we lost thousands of Marines that day, thousands. And that's when we realized that launching a land invasion in Japan could be disastrous. And so we're actually going to consider using what we developed during the Manhattan Project, which is, we learned this last week. What is the Manhattan Project developing?
Nuclear bombs.
Yep, the atomic bomb. Very good. Okay, all right. Oh, okay. Number 4, back up. It's Australia. That's why I messed it up, because I wasn't even thinking. We don't really talk about any other islands out in the Pacific. So I guess that's why I wasn't even thinking about it. We are going to use Australia as another naval base location, but we really don't talk about it that much. Okay, sorry about that. All right, number 6, going into section 2, says the Allies defeated Germany and Africa, and in the Battle of the Atlantic, the Soviet victory at Stalingrad was a turning point of the war. Number 6 says Stalin wanted Britain and the US. So those are your 2 blanks. Britain and US. Stalin wanted Britain and the US to open a second front by attacking Germany from the west to prevent to take the pressure off of the Soviet Union. All right. All right, number 7, Egypt was very important to Britain because of the resources. That's your answer, resources. The route used by most of Britain's empire to send supplies to Britain. All right, number 8, the German Africa Corps, who was commanded by Erwin Rommel. All right, so E-R-W-I-N. E-R-W-I-N, and Rommel is R-O-M-M-E-L. Erwin Rommel, a brilliant commander whose success earned him the nickname Desert Fox. They called him the Desert Fox because, well, if you know anything about a fox, they say foxes are sly, they're fast, they're quick, they're sneaky. Well, that's kind of how they considered him, that he was just a very sneaky general, fast-moving, very, very smart. But not quite smart enough because we still get them. All right. Number 9 says, because the city of Stalingrad controlled, hold on. Oh, controlled the supply line. Supply line is your answer for number 9. Supply line. And was a major railroad junction. Capturing the city was the key to Germany's attack. So, of course, they hold them off. Battle of Stalingrad, they hold them off, and they're able to push the Germans back into Germany. All right, number 10 says the Battle of blank, Battle of the Bulge, and it's B-U-L-G-E. Bulge, B-U-L-G-E. The Battle of the Bulge was a major turning point of the war because it put the Germans on the defensive. And again, we now have the Germans on retreat. So the war has officially turned, and it has turned in favor of the Allies. Again, when we say Allies, we're talking about Russia, the U.S., and Great Britain. What do we know about France's situation? What happened to France?
It got taken over.
Yeah, France fell. They surrendered in June of 1940. So we know that France is currently controlled by the Germans, and we are slowly working up to the Battle of D-Day. D-Day, also known as Operation Overlord, is where the British, the United States, and we actually do have help from Canadian forces. We stormed the beaches of Normandy to take back France, to liberate France, to push the Germans back. And of course, as we push the Germans back, what are we also going to reveal to ourselves and the rest of the world? What are we going to find once we start moving in to Germany?
The bomb?
No. What has been happening under the cover of World War II?
The Manhattan Project.
Concentration camps.
The Holocaust.
Oh.
Yeah. So a lot of countries, including the Allies, had no clue until we start making our way into the middle of Europe. Do we actually find and discover the concentration camps, and that the Holocaust has been going on the whole time, kind of under the scenes? A lot of people say that the war was kind of the cover up for what was actually going on underneath with the Holocaust. So we can't forget that. Okay, so that is it for 21-2, and I'm sorry I messed y'all up a couple of times. Did anybody miss one? Everybody's okay? Okay. All right. So we'll continue. Like I said, we're kind of speeding things up. We'll do section 4 tomorrow. We'll do section 5 on Wednesday. Yeah, making sure I have my days right, on Wednesday. Throughout the week, you should also be working on your World War II project. Thursday, I have a practice quiz. It's not going to be graded as an actual quiz. It is a literal practice. You do get a participation grade. So please make sure that you do it. But all that is in preparation for your unit test on World War II next week. I'm going to set it up for next Monday. I don't like doing stuff on a Monday, but we kind of need to hurry up and push through so that we can get into the Cold War next week. Okay. So I do have your Google Slides up. I'm going to post my videos of me going over the extra pieces of info. So if you're not a World War II person, I would watch those through, I don't know, 8 to 10 minutes maybe of me kind of going over the major points. So I'll post those now because I just realized I didn't do it earlier. I think that's the big stuff. Does anybody got questions about anything coming up this week? No? Okay. All right. Well, I'll let you go. And I do miss seeing your faces in person. I kind of broke down over the weekend because it made me really super sad that we only got 2 weeks of seeing each other in person. And for some of you, even less. And it really made me sad. So
Yeah.
I love you guys. I miss your faces in person. We'll make it through this. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Uh,